Hello, welcome to True Astrology. I'm Arthyr Chadbourne. I'm a fourth-generation astrologer, and today what I'd like to do is talk to you about the dignities. This is the point where we put planetary placements in a house and sign, and this tells us exactly how strong or how weak a planet is. The problem with many astrologers who are just learning, they have the problem of thinking that astrology is a language, but they don't know that it must have a subject, a predicate, a noun, adjective, and verb. Many times it's asked, what does Saturn do in my chart? Or what house Saturn is in? Or what? These things are not questions that anybody can answer. They'll give you something, but you won't be getting a true process of what's going on here. The figure Saturn has no meaning except some inclination of a hindrance. That's all it is. But when you put Saturn in the 7th house, it has no real meaning either, except that there is an inclination of hindrance again. However, the figure 7th house Cancer has some meaning, because what we've done here is we created a statement about a house and of the partner's 7th house, and it's either about partners or the open enemies. It's just what it's about. So now we're looking at Saturn in 7 Cancer as a problem. However, the figure Saturn in the 7th house at 17 degrees Cancer is an entire scope of the situation. What's happening here is because it's a complete statement about the house, partnership, or open enemies in the 7th house in a sign that is not compatible to the sign that Saturn normally rules, which is Capricorn. It's in the figure of Saturn's in the figure of talking through or expressing itself through the 7th house in the name. It's namely in the point of Cancer. Now, Cancer, of course, is the detriment of Saturn, so this makes it very weak and very dangerous. Therefore, it's imperative that when asking directions about signs and or planets, that the entire scope of a situation is declared for a complete understanding for whom you're speaking with and whom you're expecting to have an answer through. Otherwise, you'll get nothing. You'll get gibberish from people who really don't know much but think they should. Okay? The chart represents a situation. All situations have a structure, and the current tropical astrology wheel has a set of basic rudimentary tenets. The house are nouns, so the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 7th, 9th, etc., all the 12 houses, they're considered nouns. They're a person, a place, or a thing you're looking for or wanting to be with. The signs describe those nouns as adjectives. So when you put the sign on the house, now you have two meanings. It's tell you what it is and what it's about. And then the planets that relate to that are like verbs. What are you doing there? So when you see Sun, Moon, Venus, or Saturn, or any of these planets sitting in a house, in a sign, in that situation, it gives it what we just talked about. It gives you a complete system and a complete situation by which we can look at. Next, we want to recognize that the total houses are known as angles. So the process here is that the angles are 1, 10, 7, and 4 in that order, and they are the most powerful placements in the chart. One is the most powerful, 10 second, 7 third, and the 4th is the last power. But they are all equally powerful when you're looking at something. You always want planets on the angle. Planets that are accidental means that they're in a house that they should be in. So the idea here of Mercury in Scorpio or the Sun in Scorpio 1st house is an accidental dignity. The 3 planets you see in the top in Gemini are planets that are an accidental dignity. You'll notice that Saturn in Scorpio and Mars in Capricorn down in the lower part, they're not in an accidental dignity. They just happen to be in a sign that says something about them. But here they're in a mutual reception, which of course we'll cover that in another time and another date. The essential dignity is the planet that's in its own sign. The planet, when it's in its own sign, are well behaved. They're very strong. They need very little from outside sources, and they will give very little. So when you see a sign in its own planet, and a planet in its own sign, that's literally telling you that they're selfish. The planet that's in the opposite sign is its detriment. So placed, the planet here is in its, it's going to fail to act, and therefore of no help in any matter. Usually it's harmful when you see this in the chart. Okay, the planets were here before before astrology was discovered. So the signs were created by the planets. So with a day indicator and a night indicator, this is why we see planets that rules 2 different signs. As you see here, Gemini is ruling the first house and the fourth house by Virgo. So Mercury rules 2 signs. Just have to remember that. So does Mars. So does Venus. Sun and Moon do not. They rule only one singular sign. The daylight time and nighttime is very important. So when we look at day signs, they're stronger in the daytime births, while night signs are stronger in the births when occur during the nighttime hours. So we have to remember this. So when we're looking at this, the night charts are telling us that from Capricorn to Cancer, that is the process of night, and you see them in the gray area. The tone yellow is telling us that these are day, and it goes from Cancer to Capricorn. The exception to this rule, of course, is the signs Aries and Scorpio. You see here I placed yellow in Aries because Aries is a day sign, and I placed the dark side of Scorpio as a night point. So just remember that that's the exception of the rule. The planet always wants to work with an object. It wants to be where the sign wants to be, where the planet is. So we always look at this and see how to read a chart. So here we're looking at what does the descendant need or want. Well, the descendant is the 7th house. You see it circled there as Gemini, and the ruler of Gemini is in the sign of Capricorn in the 2nd house. So in this case, we're looking at the 7th house person, whoever it might be, wants whatever the ascendant owns, because it's the 2nd house of the ascendant. I want to thank you for joining me today, and I want to also thank you for watching this video. You can put a thumbs up there if you like, and let me know how you feel about it, and subscribe if you will. I'll talk to you later.